Yeah.
It'll give you some time to
Ooh, please remember to put your phones on
silence your
vibrate. Yeah, please.
phones. Silence your phones before the show begins.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dale.
And I'm Brit.
And this is a Toast to the Atypical podcast where we talk about all sorts of weird stuff. And today is a very, very strange one. This was an episode that we alluded to on a previous episode because the anniversary of this just happened.
Yep.
But, yeah, before we get into that, we had a bunch of new listeners and a bunch of new subscribers. So, I guess you guys listened to our plea in our last episode.
Please.
Please, yeah. If you're listening to us, there's a
Our
lot
begging, our shameless begging.
Yeah, according to the analytics, there's a lot of you that are listeners but are not subscribers. So, if you like what you're hearing, subscribe. It helps us out. It helps you out by getting you the information or getting you the podcast quicker. So, we would appreciate that. And we also have some other cool stuff. We have our, well, before we get to the big one, our drink selection. So, our drink selection today, it was just St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
So
we have leftovers.
We have leftovers. I have a Guinness. Fitting for St. Patty's Day.
I have leftover wine. So
yes.
It's gotta get drunk or it's gonna no longer be good.
Got to get drunk.
Yeah.
Gotta get drunk. Yeah. So
Drank.
Moosin. So yeah, I guess I'll pour this while I am. Oh God, it gets me every time.
Why is that so insane?
Because
that looks nasty.
Well, it's gotta settle. You pour it. Ew. And then it settles. It looks like it's like curdling and shit.
Yeah, that's so gross.
There's a thing in there.
What thing?
It's like I don't know. There's like extra the carbonation or something. I don't know. But yeah, it settles and then it winds up separating. It's delicious. You gotta, yeah.
Nope.
Guinness. Good old Guinea. You can't say that. Can't say Guinea, can you?
Guinea?
Yeah, isn't that like a derogatory term for somebody?
For who?
Italians? I don't know.
It's Guido.
I thought Guinea was like, I don't know.
Guinea?
Maybe I should stop saying it. Yeah, I thought Guinea was a thing. I don't think you can say that.
I don't know.
Flagged?
I don't think that's right.
No?
No, I've never heard that.
Guinness. We'll just call it by what it's called.
Okay.
A Guinness. But the big announcement is we have merch coming out.
Yes, we do.
We're working with a local t-shirt company, local clothing company. And they are putting together some merch for us.
Didn't we talk about this?
What?
On a previous episode. Didn't we just talk about this last episode?
Maybe.
I feel like we did. No, we definitely did. Because I told
we were
people
working on it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I told people that if we had it and it was ready to go, that maybe we could send one.
Yeah.
As like a free gift for like a thank you.
Yeah. So we saw the proofs. Special. We're going through a couple last things with them, and then we're gonna have all of that set, and we will announce who that's with. We'll be doing some collabs with them as well.
So excited.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
I really just want one myself. Like
I know.
You guys are fine and all, but
we love you guys,
I really just want one.
Yeah.
What we saw so far looks awesome, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have that going on. And then I thought there was something else, but I guess there's not. Did you have something else?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
All right. So
buy us a coffee.
Yeah. So we did decide, though, this episode is going to be a two-parter.
Yep.
There's a ton of information here, so we're going to be going through the information today, and then our next section of the episode is going to be next week.
Yep.
So yeah, stay tuned for the details here, and you got to let them soak in so that we can talk about the stuff for next week. But
plus, this will give you guys a chance to kind of marinate on your own theories before we jump into our theories and some of the other information that we've found from other people out there who have their own theories. So
Yeah.
it'll give you some time to
Ooh, please remember to put your phones on
silence your
vibrate. Yeah, please.
phones. Silence your phones before the show begins, rude assholes. Sorry,
I should check mine too.
it was a work call.
It's gonna
Bye.
happen to me too. Yeah, I didn't put mine on either.
Yeah.
Good.
Anywho,
Okay. Yeah. So
I don't know what I was saying now.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, this way we're not like telling you what the theory is before
Right,
you
right.
have time to kind of
Let it
digest
soak.
it and make
Yeah.
your own. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let it soak. Was that?
No,
That was
I was
not
not going to
funny.
say that.
No.
No, ew.
Not funny, is it?
Let it soak?
Yeah. Given the outcome of what we're about to talk about here.
Maybe the outcome.
Maybe.
We don't know.
All right. So cheers to all you fuckers out there for listening to us. Happy belated St. Patty's Day.
Yep.
And yeah, no green beer in this house.
Stay weird, my friends.
All right. So, oh God, it's so good. And it's just so good. All right. So we're talking about, because we did just have the anniversary. March 8th was the anniversary of this. The Malaysia Airline flight 370
Disappearance.
that disappeared.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Very Lost-esque. But Malaysia Airlines lost flight 370. We're going to get into details on that, but a little bit of background about Malaysia Airlines is they were founded in 1947, so they're not a new airline. They're headquartered, obviously, in Malaysia. Makes sense, given the name.
Go figure.
Yeah, go figure. There was a couple of different mergers, and I feel like this happens a lot in the industry. But in 1972, they actually divided their assets to form two separate national companies. Malaysian Airlines System, which is currently Malaysia Airlines, and Singapore Airlines. So they separated into two.
Yep.
In the 2000s and 2010s, they had a bunch of awards for their airlines, which I didn't know there was like Oscars for airlines, but
I don't think it's like that. I think it's like the
Grammys.
JD Power Associate Awards, like that cars get. I think it's probably similar to that.
Gotcha. So
It's not.
who gives out the best snacks
fucking
on their
Moon Man.
Who gives out the best snack? Whose toilets have the
Fuck
most
your
pressure?
peanuts. Who's got chocolate covered pretzels? Now we're talking.
Who's got tray tables that actually stay up? So they struggled to cut costs to compete with the low-cost airlines, like your budget airlines out there. In 2013, they initiated a turnaround plan and internal restructuring, which means they were firing fucking everybody.
Wiping the slate clean.
Yeah. And then in 2014 and 2015, they declared bankruptcy, which is interesting for the timeline of what we're about to go through.
It's also strange to me that they did like a complete turnaround plan and internal restructuring. You would think that's usually to like cut costs and save money, but then within 2 years they're declaring bankruptcy.
Well, it turns out like the plan that they put in and even all the costs that they cut, they couldn't cover their debt and the losses and still compete with it was a personnel issue then, so yeah, they wound up having to just close
Probably
up
like
shop.
severance packages and shit.
Yeah, close up shop. So Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. The flight took off on March 8th from Kuala Lumpur International Airport.
Kuala.
Is it Kuala?
Kuala Lumpur. Yeah.
Kuala Lumpur International Airport, headed toward Beijing Capital International Airport. It had 239 occupants, which consisted of 227 passengers and 12 crew. And the captain was Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, and there was a co-pilot of Farik Abdul Hamid as well.
Yep.
So those are a couple big names that we'll be talking about, but I'm going to pass it off to Brit, and she is going to go over the timeline of the flight.
Yeah, we're going to go through
and I'm going to take
damn near minute by minute of the flight. So, as Dale said, takes off on March 8th, 2014 at 12:41 a.m. local time. It was a clear, calm night. Like Dale said, flight is departing from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and headed to Beijing Capital International Airport. It's It's given clearance to take off. They get their cruising altitude at 19 minutes after takeoff. And Captain Shah confirms with air traffic control that they are flying at the cruising altitude and will be handed off to the Vietnamese air traffic controller at Ho Chi Minh shortly. So they're given the final call from air traffic at 37 minutes into the flight, which says, "Good night, Malaysian 370." And this was the last voice contact ever made with Malaysian MH370. After 39 minutes, so approximately 90 seconds after the "Goodnight Malaysian 370" call, the position symbol of Flight 370 disappears from Kuala Lumpur's radar. The Malaysian military radar continued tracking the flight almost immediately and watched as it began a turn to the left until it was traveling in a southwesterly direction, so completely the opposite of the original destination intention.
And just to pause, there's a lot of information, a lot of photos and things like that with this episode as well.
Yeah.
So I will link in the description. I'm not going to put it up on the video feed because you're going to want to see it in more detail. I will link in the description the flight path. And
you're going to
all
need
the
to zoom
other,
in. So it's going to be hard for you to do that on the video itself. So we'll include it as a link or like in an album that you can click on and down and just pinch and whatever you need to do. So then 9 minutes later, 48 minutes now into the flight, voice contact is attempted by another aircraft, and they were only able to hear mumbling and radio static in reply. 55 minutes into the flight, they missed a half-hourly data transmission that was scheduled. Another 9 minutes goes by, and Ho Chi Minh air traffic contacts Kuala Lumpur air traffic and informs them that MH370 did not make verbal contact with them. After a ton of back and forth between Kuala Lumpur and Ho Chi Minh and Malaysia Airlines operations, they say that they were able to exchange signals with some instruments on 370 and that the flight is in Cambodian airspace now. So this is now at an hour 33 after takeoff.
Yeah, so Cambodian airspace, for those of you that aren't great with geography, looking at you, Brit, is west of Vietnam. So totally west of where they were supposed to be, but that follows the track of the southwesterly turn that they did.
Yep. So then 20 minutes after that, so now we're an hour and 53 minutes into the flight, Malaysian Airlines operations informs Kuala Lumpur and Ho Chi Minh air traffic controllers that Flight 370 is in a, quote, normal condition based on signals they were getting from the aircraft. The signals were now putting them at a point over the South China Sea just east of Vietnam.
Yeah. So that's strange because
they were just west of Vietnam.
They're saying they're in Cambodian
airspace. So they were in Cambodia. In Cambodia airspace doesn't mean directly over Cambodia.
Right. So the cutout's weird. I'll try to find a map of the airspace as well, because the airspace for Cambodia is fairly small, and the airspace of Vietnam kind of like really cuts out up toward China and then back in. So Vietnam kind of watches a lot of the South China Sea.
Yeah.
So it's a weird airspace. So yeah.
Right. So at 5 hours and 48 minutes into the flight, they were supposed to have been landing in Beijing. And of course they do not.
Right.
2 minutes later, the Kuala Lumpur Aeronautical Rescue Coordination Center is activated. At this point, families have been alerted and funneled into nearby hotels so they could be kept updated.
Yeah, so families had no idea. Like, even up until when I'm curious if it said like flight delayed on the thing, or like how that would be put. I mean, they're not going to put flight lost on there. But
well, no, because I don't think it. Yeah, they would have had to have said delayed
landing.
Yeah, in Beijing, because it was not on track anymore.
But like, I can't believe they didn't notify the families
sooner. Right? Because this is a long flight.
Yeah.
So. Takeoff is 12:41.
Flight, but
well, I mean, it's a 5 hour, almost 6 hour flight.
Yeah.
And it's lost within 39 minutes, I think?
Yeah.
I mean, this was not even an hour into the flight that they realized that shit had not been on track. And they waited an entire 5 more hours to notify families.
Yeah. I guess they were just like hoping that like the
I
air
don't know.
traffic control in Beijing would pick them
Like
up.
a half hour is probably my maximum amount of time that I'd be patient.
Especially after all these other places tried to reach out to them with
Right.
no response.
Yeah. So, during this time, they're getting hourly automated pings with the Inmarsat system, which is a satellite data system on the plane that sends a signal out to a satellite.
Yeah, and it's all automated. The Inmarsat system
Right.
is automated. It's not
Yes.
something the pilot needs to complete a
Yeah.
signal or send
It's
anything.
basically like
It's automated.
a Wi-Fi router or something. It's like it's just got
connects,
connection, and that's it. And there's nothing that anyone can or needs to do to communicate with it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing that can be done to turn it off.
Right.
It's embedded in the flight system
Right.
as it is. So at this point, news crews are reporting, like, everyone has gotten word that shit has gone down.
Yeah.
And, now they're getting these Inmarsat system pings for 6 hours after the last contact.
Mm-hmm.
So after that Goodnight Malaysia 370, they're still getting hourly pings for 6 hours later. So they got a total of 7 pings over the time frame that this entire aircraft is missing.
Yeah.
So the one thing about the Inmarsat system is that it does not have directional ability. It can't tell you where exactly. It doesn't have like a GPS coordinate or like a longitude and latitude coordinate to tell you where the item is. It can just give you a radius of how far the ping is from the satellite receiving the ping.
Right.
So it only has like an arc radius of whatever, and it can tell you where along that radius it is, but it can't tell you if it's like, I don't know, in the northwest or the southeast or whatever. It just knows that it's however many miles from the satellite.
Right. So let me just pause you here.
Yeah.
As all of this was going on and news got a hold of it, Anderson Cooper interviewed the crisis manager for Malaysian Airlines. His name was Fuad Sharuji. Sharuji, I think is how you say his name. He's the crisis manager at Malaysian, and he explained to Anderson Cooper during the interview that the flight had about 7 hours of fuel and was expected to run out of fuel by 8:30, but they had no clue where it was.
Right. So this was at 6:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Their local time. So 5 hours after the last contact. Right. News have gotten a hold of the story, but this was prior to families being notified still.
Okay.
So this is still, like, the timeline is still. No, I'm sorry, that's not right.
Yeah, I thought the families were notified.
Families were notified just before the news crew started reporting. So families were notified 5 hours and 50 minutes into the takeoff time. So this is shortly after that. They've already got Malaysian Airlines on the on the Anderson Cooper show.
The families were notified by way of an automated text message system, basically.
Right.
Like, could you imagine getting that text message of like,
we don't know where your fucking loved one is.
Yeah, we don't know where. Yeah. That's absolutely
also
absurd.
Like, I'd be so pissed finding out that I wasn't notified until 2 minutes after the plane was supposed to land, and you have known for 5.5 hours that you don't know where these people are.
Yeah.
That would have not flown
No.
with me. No pun intended, but that would not fly. Fuck that. I'd
Neither
be
would
so
the plane.
pissed. No, that's the problem. It did. It just didn't go where it was supposed to. So you'll hear us refer to these handshakes or pings.
Yeah.
The airline system calls them handshakes. And basically it's just like this quick little contact of the Inmarsat data with the plane itself.
With the plane, yeah.
And they call them handshakes. So if you hear that, the pings mean the same thing. Yeah. So now, 7 hours and 37 minutes after takeoff, the aircraft is sent a log-on request to the satellite. The ground station responds, and the aircraft replies with a log-on acknowledgement message.
Right. So
this is that 7th ping.
Right. And so there was like some sort of indirect communication then, because there was the request, and then the ground system was like, oh, okay, like they're requesting it, let's acknowledge it.
Yeah, it's like an automated check-in.
Right.
Where like it's like automatically connecting to somebody's Wi-Fi. Like your phone just kind of does it. You don't tell it to do it, but it's just there and it's within range, so it just does it.
Right.
This is kind of like that.
Yeah.
So now at 8 hours and 33 minutes after takeoff, the aircraft misses its first hourly automated handshake.
Yeah.
So this is the first time that it no longer is connecting with the Inmarsat system.
Right.
And we'll include photos of the planned flight as well as the projected hypothesized direction that it took given the pings that we found.
Right.
And I'm going to hand it back over to you to take over with what happens in the following days.
Yeah.
So that takes us to roughly like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning on the day of. So about 8.5 to 9 hours after takeoff.
Right.
So Dale's going to take over from there.
Yeah. So the days that followed this, obviously a missing plane isn't something that they're going to take lightly. So
I would hope not.
Yeah. So they launched a huge search, and this was the most expensive aviation search in history. Mm-hmm. They had 40 ships and 34 aircraft searching, in addition to a bunch of individuals searching, and we'll get into that too. Something strange that, I mean, all of the families that were notified were invited to stay in the hotels locally. They were told so that they could get the newest information as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But they also were told not to speak to media.
Yeah.
So that's a little strange. But so they were told they weren't allowed to talk to media while the search was going on. And in China, they're not like the U.S. where we're going to protest and be like, no, we're going to talk to the media, or post it on our TikTok or some shit. Like most of them complied. So it did get a ton of media coverage, however. And one of the people that you'll hear his name come up a lot here, and you'll see a ton in the Netflix special, is Jeff Wise. Jeff is an aviation journalist, which I didn't know that was really even a thing, but I'm not an aviator, I guess, of any sort, so I don't...
Closest I'm coming is drinking that...
Aviation Weekly? Like, I don't...
Ryan Reynolds gin.
Yeah, right, aviation gin. But, so he was getting all of this data from all of his sources, and he posted basically all of the information on his blog to try to pick the brains of his followers, because he had a lot of technical followers and some sources on there and things like that. So
right, I mean, in order to follow an aviation journalist's blog, you have to be like somewhat interested in that stuff.
Yeah, it's not like something you're just going to read.
Right, and I think he kind of knew his audience well enough to say, like, you guys might know some shit. Like, let me throw this all out there and let's see if we can all put our heads together and figure something out here.
Right.
So I think he had fantastic intentions there.
Yeah. So he posted the information, and then he received a comment from someone with who was providing like really good analytics of the facts that Wise had posted.
Yeah.
And this guy's screen name, is that a word still? Screen name?
I would use
handle?
User handle.
User handle?
Yeah, I wouldn't say
screen name. AOL. AIM.
His away message.
His away message popped up. Did he have like a musical tune to incoming messages?
Yeah, he signed on, and it was the in riff for Creed, the intro.
So his handle was Airland Seaman. So obviously this guy's an expert. But having a conversation with this Airland Seaman and conversations with others, they kind of thought like, okay, we're gonna become like this little investigative group of that's gonna analyze this stuff behind the
Yeah.
scenes and gather information. So they called themselves the Independent Group. Very clever name.
I feel like there are so many better ways to do
Right?
that.
Yeah. There was another
Whatever.
group too called the Tom Nodders that started online as well, and both of these groups were individuals that were pursuing the investigation from their couches.
Yep.
And if any of you have watched the docu-series Don't Fuck with Cats,
Dude. Oh my
you
God.
know what these investigative groups can do. So that show, no, I mean, spoiler alert, but
No, it's not a spoiler alert. If you haven't watched it, go fucking watch
yeah.
it. And then please tell us how long you spent down the internet rabbit
Yeah.
hole, because
So
I was up till like 4 in the morning the one
yeah.
night. Just
So there was basically
searching.
there's a group of people. There's a video online that went up on like a Facebook page of some guy killing kittens.
2 kittens, yeah.
And this group of people found all of these details in the video and in like the
Yeah.
text of the video
They
file and everything. And they
mhm.
like as a group, they hunted this guy down
Yeah, so
from the comfort of their homes.
they found out like there was like a teeny tiny little sliver in like one little corner of a poster that was on his wall.
Yeah.
And they were able to use that to figure out what the movie poster was and find
Yeah.
like fans of that movie. And then they found like something in like the bedspread that was on his bed because it was like very
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
And
So it was
they were
very
able to really find some pretty significant information and
yeah.
very unique stuff.
Yeah.
Very little
Right. So
information, detectives.
right. So the independent group was focused on analyzing information that Wise put out, but the Tom Nodders were a group that used imagery from a satellite company called Tom Nod, and they scanned more than 24,000 square kilometers of the oceans for signs of debris of the plane wreckage. More than 8 million people used the resource and they crashed the website a bunch of times from high traffic trying to get the information they needed.
Yeah.
Another name that comes up is Cindy Hendry, who is by profession a photographer, and she was also a Tom Nodder. So she found what she identified as the MH370 wreckage in an area of the South China Sea that was along the path of the flight. Not what Malaysian Airlines is telling us where the flight went, but on the original path. And it was
On the
very
intended
right,
flight
and
path.
it was very close to the spot where MH370 dropped from radar.
Yes.
And I have a link that can show you all of the pictures that she found there. So she claims she found a white mass of debris in the area, again, that was close to where it dropped from radar. She claims she found the nose, the fuselage, and even a piece that bears the M of the Malaysian Airlines logo. And says that she informed investigators and officials, but nothing came of it.
That's the
So,
strangest part to me.
yes.
I will never get over that.
Yeah. So I'm going to pass it off to Britt, but we are going to take a super quick break. And Britt's going to jump in on a March 15th date with some more information.
Yep. So what Dale just told us, what covers up to and including March 12th. So
Yes.
I'll be back with March 15th in a moment.
All right, be right back.
Be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking out with us.
Give
All
it
right.
to us.
So, jumping into March 15th here.
The Ides of March.
The Malaysian. Is it March 15th? I thought it was March 5th.
No, it's the 15th.
I think you made that up.
Nope. The Ides. Beware the Ides of March. March 15th. I used to think it was Beware the Eyes of March.
You're right, it is the 15th. I really thought it was earlier. Anyhow.
Right, it was recorded.
Shut up. One and done. The only time you'll ever hear it. Anywho, March 15th, Malaysian Prime Minister makes an official announcement. He confirms the redirection of the flight and officially turns this into a criminal investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Prime suspects being the pilot and co-pilot.
Of course.
Go figure.
Because who else are they going to say it is?
Well,
at
yeah, I
that
mean,
point?
who else is in control of the aircraft?
Yeah.
Like, what are they supposed to do?
Right.
I mean, the only other way that they could blame it on anybody would be like a hijacking, but I feel like they would have gotten some sort of like a warning call, or like somebody would have tried to say like something's happening. Like there would have been some contact. It wouldn't have just been like dead air.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now we're gonna jump forward a week and a half. 3/24. There's a press conference.
Because the search is going on. I mean, we're jumping
So
forward.
during all this time, they're still searching. It's not like nothing's happening during this time, but these are the key points to know.
So I'll link the page that has literally like a minute by minute timeline of the entire search, the days and weeks and months that followed.
Yep.
But like, there's way too much information to go through. So yeah, we're going through the key stuff here.
Right. So March 24th, there's a press conference given by the Malaysian Airlines. So they inform us that using the Inmarsat data compiled with a cell phone communication and military radar, they were able to conclude that the plane ran out of fuel in a corridor in the southern Indian Ocean. And the Malaysian Airlines tells the families that it assumes beyond a reasonable doubt that there are no survivors.
Yeah. So back up for 1 second. I know you mentioned that Inmarsat data does not give you GPS coordinates.
Correct.
So just to explain to everyone, because I'm sure you picked this up in the research here, but the way that it works is they can basically track these pings in a radius of how far they came in from the satellite to the end point.
I already said that.
And that's how. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you realized that, or didn't realize you said the radius part.
I did.
Yeah. So there, that gives you.
Thanks for joining us, Dale.
Yeah. So that
Welcome
gives you
to the party, jackass.
2 paths essentially, a north and a south
Nobody
projection.
fucking listen to him.
Yeah.
Are you done now?
I don't know. You know what? What did you just say something about the 15?
Do you want to repeat some more shit?
Yeah. Should I reread what you said?
Yes. I'm not worried about you being able to read. I'm worried about you being able to listen. Fuck.
I can't do that.
Following day, March 25th. Families are fed the fuck up. They have had it. So now there's protests outside of the Malaysian embassy in Beijing. China demands that Malaysia hands over the satellite data that led to the determination that the flight ended in the South Indian Ocean with no survivors. They are not accepting this as an answer, and honestly, neither would I. That's bullshit. You don't have anywhere near enough information, and like the information you do have, you need to friggin' release it. If you expect 237 people's families to just accept that that's your final answer, you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
There's no way. So now, the following day, now on the 26th, there's officials that announced that images from a French satellite were obtained on 323, which appear to show 122 floating objects up to 75 feet in length. So now they're covering their asses.
Yeah.
The following day, more images are revealed from a Thai satellite from 324.
Yeah, it's funny how all this is revealed after China demands it.
Right. So on 324, they have the press conference. 2 days prior, they're saying that they received this French satellite and Thai satellite information, and that's what led them to release this. But in nowhere in that press conference do they say we have French satellite images and Thai satellite images containing these things that led us to say these things. They wait until everyone's in an uproar, and now they're like, oh my God, we need to piece together something to back our story.
Yeah.
At least that's what I think. You guys come up with your own conclusion there.
Yeah.
So the Thai satellite images include about 300 floating objects that range from almost 50 feet in size. You have 6 feet to 7 feet. I feel like that's not right.
6'7" is what they said.
6'7" Got it. Okay. So from about 6'7" to almost 50 feet in size. So pretty big range. And they were found about 120 miles south of where the French satellite images were obtained.
Right. So that tracks.
Right. So the following months and years had many independent searches, hired searches, individuals looking for adventure, and, people out there searching for fucking DB's treasure, treating this like shit. Yeah. So there was a lot of, I guess vigilantes would be the best word for it. People just went rogue trying to find the answers that they weren't getting. So there's a ton of conflicting information out there. You've got too many cooks in the kitchen. So you have about 39 pieces of aircraft were found in total. 3 were confirmed to have been from MH370. And many of the others were confirmed as just Boeing 777 parts.
Yeah.
So the MH370 was a Boeing 777.
Yeah.
And a lot of these 39 pieces were just, they weren't confirmed as MH370 specifically, but as the same type of plane.
Mm-hmm.
So Dale's going to get into my potentially biggest problem with this entire thing.
He's my favorite guy.
I hate him.
I love him.
We're going to disagree. This is going to be like the bed conversation all over again.
I love him.
Go ahead.
So there's this guy, Blaine Gibson.
Ugh.
Yeah, dude's a creepo looking.
I mean, no, not even his look. He just is an asshole.
Yeah. He's like your typical, like, History Channel interviewed guy.
Those guys I don't hate. I hate this guy.
He's like just looking at him though, he's like the aliens guy. Like, he just always seems like he's trying to convince you of something.
Yeah.
So in the Netflix special, so everybody has these professional labels under their name.
Yeah,
Everybody
you've
knows
got
what I'm talking
photographer,
about.
you've got the aviation journalist.
Aviation journalist, whatever, expert. And Blaine Gibson, everybody else's background is like in a nice office or in front of the computer. And Blaine's like in a bar. And his label is just adventurer.
Man's got the life.
Adventurer.
How do you get an official title of an adventurer?
I don't know.
It sounds like a fucking like
guess
a
if you do
cartoon
what he did.
character.
I don't know.
How do you make a fucking living?
I don't know. But
He's funded by somebody.
So, well, maybe.
His
But
pockets are lined.
maybe we're going to talk
I don't
about
trust
that
this asshole.
as we go forward. We'll talk
I don't
about
trust
that.
anybody, but
But so of the 39 pieces found, pieces of airplane found, Blaine,
Blaine is credited.
right. He only found 6 himself, and the other 33 were found by 26 different people. So he essentially found every piece out there.
Yeah.
Or it passed through his hands.
The 26 different people were like brought on by him.
Yeah.
So he is credited for 33 of the 39 pieces found.
Right.
Which that's suspicious at best.
Super suspicious.
Fucking.
So I'm trying to enlarge this on my tablet, but I don't think I can. So I have a list
Does that
help? A little bit. I have a list that I'll put up, which is a detailed list of all the pieces found, and it gives you
dates, like locations, who found it,
right,
what the piece is, what it was confirmed as. It gives you kind of a breakdown of all the different things that were recovered.
Yeah. So there's some of them that are listed as not identifiable, some not analyzed, but then there's some of them that in the research they found serial numbers or whatever, linked them directly to Boeing 777s, they call them, right? 777s?
Or whatever. Yeah.
Or the Boeing 777. So, yeah, there's, I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff on this list, too. But there was a multinational 3-year search across 46,000 square miles that was run by this joint agency coordination center. They ended their search in January of 2017. And then, of course, there's still a ton of people who research this on the daily. There's private companies out there doing it, and there was a privately funded large second search that started in January of 2018 by Ocean Infinity, and that ended without success after 6 months. Yep. And I could be wrong, but I feel like Ocean Infinity, somebody there, maybe the actual company had something to do with finding the Titanic and getting down to the Titanic as well. I could be totally wrong on that, but I feel like they had something to do with that. But through these searches...
No. I think that would be a main part of their Wikipedia page, and it's
Probably.
not on there. So
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a hard pass on that one.
All right, so I was wrong. Snopes has.
They've
said that's
done a
false.
bunch of like rec searches though, and they've done like ExxonMobil and shit.
Yeah. So, call me stupid, which you do on the reg, but I thought that a lot of these searches, I was like, I always thought, like, how can you even begin to search for stuff in the ocean like this? And, like, I get planes are flying over or whatever looking, but it's so difficult to see anything. You get, like, the sparkle of the sun on the ocean. Like, it's tough
Yeah.
to see anything. So they actually drag these, like, gigantic pieces of equipment through the ocean and come up with, like, a whole topographical map of the base of the ocean. And then they study, like, the anomalies and the differences of the ocean, and then can kind of maybe see, like, okay, this isn't natural. There's straight lines and sharp edges there. It might be a wreck of some sort. And then they research that.
They look for any abnormalities or
Right.
like unexpected terrain changes,
Right.
and then use that to gauge how much they want to report on and like dig
Right.
around more.
Right. Yeah. So, I don't know if you want to give any thought as to what, or a sneak peek of what your theory might be, or theories might be. So, guys, I know this is going to be kind of a shorter
No,
episode,
I
everyone,
don't.
but
I want to let
yeah.
people marinate on that.
Yeah, so
I think it's important for you guys to just have all the information before we jump into what the Netflix special said, what our theories are. There's a lot there, and there's going to be a lot for you guys to digest. So I think it deserves the time that you guys need to give it to really,
yeah, so
without our feelings.
yeah, so Netflix comes up with 3 theories. There's a ton of stuff. You name it, there's a theory about it.
Yeah.
But we'll get into the Netflix theories on the next episode. We'll get into other theories that we've found, which have to do with the Inmarsat data and what people have seen, and more about what Hendry found in her pictures.
She's my favorite. You can have that other one. What's his name?
Blaine.
Blaine. You can
Yeah,
have
well,
Blaine. I'll take Cindy.
There's theories about Blaine as well.
Yeah, we'll get into all of that.
We'll get into all of that in gross detail probably in the next episode.
Yeah. So join us next week.
Yeah, join us next week, and then obviously our theories as well. But
Yep.
as always,
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys for listening. This is a shorter episode, but again, we want you to pay attention to those details. Look at the maps so you know what our theories are talking about next month or next week. And if you have any suggestions for future episodes, let us know.
Yes, please.
And
We'd love to hear what you guys think.
Please like and subscribe.
And buy us a coffee.
Yeah, buy us coffee or a Guinness
Or a wine.
or a Juan
Or whatever.
or yeah. Thank you guys for listening, for watching, and we will see you next week with more about the plane that disappeared.
Yup.